All right, we're back in the I Own It studios in Laguna Beach, California. And once again, we just keep rolling downhill with great guests. And today's guest is no exception to what we've been able to produce so far. This young lady is an image and interior style specialist. I'm going to repeat that: an image and interior style specialist. It's pretty unique. She's a digital course creator, she's a speaker, and she is extremely fit and healthy, and a group instructor, which we're going to touch on a little bit today. And so, Kristina Pernfors, welcome to the show. You are here because you own it, and we are so excited to talk to you. So, welcome. I'm so glad you're safe. I know you're in Florida right now. Thank God you're healthy and safe, and just wanted to welcome you to the Ben Reinberg I Own It show today.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much. Yes, and I'm
Great.
very happy to be on the East Coast of Florida today. So, yes,
All
thank
right. Well, you could tell folks, look at what she's wearing. Obviously, she rocks it. She has incredible style. I can't wait to get to know her further because she will only enhance my brand and my style. So, thank you for that leadership quality you have and that influence on me. Let's get right into it. Okay.
you.
So much of the information we communicate is not our words. It's appearance, it's voice, it's other cues. Can you share more around our physiological programming and how it makes the work you do so impactful?
Well, the old adage that said first impressions last. I think it was Gillette or someone who said, and it's true. And first impressions, so much of our first impression is based on appearance, our body language, our how we look, and only about 7% is the actual content of our words. So much is just what the eye sees and what the brain interprets, and we don't do this by choice. It just happens. So much of that visual we like, because we still have, our brains have not developed since the beginning of time. So we're still in that fight or flight mode, and we need to make snap decisions or snap assumptions about things. And that's why we are quick with those first impressions, because we need to categorize people for our own survival's sake.
So we look at people and we judge it, and like, you're an elegant woman, but I have no idea what's behind the surface. So
Mhm.
you have that first 7 seconds, you make that impression. What's the next step that you would recommend that people do? Because we start judging
Yep.
people,
Yep.
like, that's my opinion of you. I see you, you're sophisticated, you're a gorgeous woman, you're well put together, good mannerisms. That's my impression. Now, you could be opposite of that. I don't think you are, but you could be.
That's true. And there's, of course, we have a first impression. You can change that first impression over time if your initial assumption was completely wrong, or this person showed up in a way that doesn't represent him or her. Yes, but it takes about 10 encounters to change that first impression. So it takes a lot more time to change it than that initial reaction. But then comes in first is that visual. Then, of course, it's the tone of our voice is the next big piece of that first initial contact with someone. So how we speak, how we deliver the message, very important as well. And as I said, you got to be yourself. You got to show up authentically. Otherwise, people are going to find out.
Well, it gets into my next point. It's many of us seem to focus on the wrong things when we want to make a good impression. We get preoccupied, right, with what
Yep.
we say versus
Yep.
the nonverbal cues that have a bigger impact. Why is it, Kristina, that so many of us focus on the wrong things? And even though we know the facts, how come it can be so challenging to change their approach?
Well, we always think, we're always in our own heads, and we always are so occupied with what others are going to think about our profession, about how we what we say. We want to come across smart. So we prepare and prepare all the things we're going to say, and then completely forget about that first visual part, because we think that everyone is as interested in what we're going to say as we are. But that's not true. That's not the case. And sometimes we don't get to that next part where we do have a chance to explain more in detail what our genius zone. We don't get to that because people have already dismissed us. If our visual presentation, our visual does not match who the preconceived notion of what they think we should look like.
Is it important to always have yourself put together, or is there times where you can kind of dress down and say,
Oh,
"Hey, I just want to be that relaxed person, and I'm going out to lunch, and I don't want to have to be dressed to the nines." I mean, what
absolutely.
is your view on that?
So we all have different hats that we wear, not literal hats, but we all have situations. I mean, running to the grocery store or being at a soccer game with your kids, you're not going to wear the same things as you are on date night or big business meeting, but there needs to be a red thread through all of your different hats. And that red thread is really you, the essence of who you are, your brand. So even if I'm in sweatpants and flip flops, they're probably not sweatpants with holes in them, or, um, three sizes too big or two sizes too small. There needs to, even when as a fitness instructor, I spend a lot of time in spandex. But I'm not going to show up in gray and black and washed out colors, because that's just not me. That's not my brand. That's not who I am. So even in my fitness, even without makeup, you're still going to see a red thread that carries through my closet, carries through my whole personality. And I think that that comes naturally. That red thread will be there naturally when you truly know who you are and
So
what you stand
so
for.
when you know who you are and you are your authentic self, you'll just naturally dress who you are
Yeah.
and become that person.
Yeah.
So one thing I loved, and I share this with you, I loved your TED talk, and I
Thank
love the metaphor about your visual cues being like a billboard on a highway.
Yep.
And I think it's very true. And wanting to attract the right people for the right reasons.
Yep.
Could you share some examples with our audience on how people can start becoming more intentional about this?
Well, one of the first exercises I do with my clients is to pick three attributes, or three to five attributes, that you would want people to pick up right away when they see you. And that's a great way to get started on the whole kind of journey of because we want to be everything. Sometimes we want to be everything to everyone, but it's the funnel principle. The clearer we are, the easier it's going to get, and the more straightforward for everyone and yourself to really make the right choices. So by starting to pick three to five adjectives that you want to be sort of your core, your brand core, that's a great way to get started, to be more on point with everything that you do. And that becomes almost like the checklist for all the decisions you make, from what car you buy to what shoes you buy, or um, where you want to go on vacation. It's all about who you are, being true to those core attributes that you choose for yourself. So that's a great way, I think, to get started. So for instance, just to give an example, it could be three of my core attributes could be: I want to be knowledgeable, or seen as knowledgeable; I want to be approachable; and I want to be bold. If those three are three of my five choices, then everything that I choose needs to fall within, they need to be true to those attributes.
Okay. Could you share examples of how your clients who made an image transformation? And you speak a lot about the idea, and obviously you mentioned Deion Sanders, you look good, you feel good. I'm wondering if some examples may help illustrate the idea that you put across.
So I've one of my clients and good friend of mine, Ingrid. She used to wear a lot of hand me downs, and coming from she was grew up in the foster system, and was, hand me downs were a great thing, and it was something you did not refuse. So even as a grown adult, as a successful businesswoman, she still accepted hand me downs and kind of dressed in whatever people gave her without thinking if it was her style or even right for her body shape, or if it was, her brand. And it kept her confused, and she was always late because she had all these clothes that someone had given to her that she really had no relation to. It took her forever to get dressed. So just by eliminating all of the things that were not right for her, not only we took away about 75% of her closet, or gave away, and now it's less is more. You don't need 3 closets. You need quality things that are right for you. You get dressed super fast because everything fits you like a glove, and you're not always late. So that was a big transformation, that not just the clothes, but for her too, it was a whole lifestyle change.
Let's touch on that a little bit. Do you feel that people that don't dignify them getting dressed or getting ready and creating that routine create other habits? Like, for example, I know people that are late all the time,
Mhm.
or or they look like slobs, or they don't present themselves well. And it seems like your visualization, your dress seems to carry over to who you become. And people always say to me, like, why do you get your haircut every 2 weeks? Because I'm disciplined. I want to look good. I want to present myself well.
Mhm.
I sit in a big chair.
Yeah.
I want to be out in the world and say, hey, this guy is clean cut. He's trustworthy. We can trust him with our money. And I see a lot of that where people show up in the world and they ebb and flow. One day they'll look great. Next minute they'll look like they were out drinking all night.
Mhm.
So you see that on a frequent basis. How do you produce that consistency, and what advice would you give to people?
So the consistency part is, again, from knowing. When you know who you are, the choices you make, and I'm saying it could be anything. You got to be true to yourself. Does not have to be clean cut like you and me. It could be whatever style, whoever you are. But when you know who you are going to be consistent, because it's when you fumble in the dark, when you're not sure, when you get hand me downs given to you, that's when you're one day showing up as one person and another way showing up as someone else. And we can just look in the advertising world where I started my career. Big brands out there, they tell a consistent story. It's all about the storytelling. So a consistent story, they have the same message. iPhones will come in white boxes. They're not going to come in a green box. That is not their brand. That's not the story they tell. And the same thing is with us. When you know who you are, you do tell a consistent visual story.
Fascinating. What is your favorite part of your job?
It's hard to pick. It's like my favorite children, or the children. I
Well,
can't.
what aspects of your relationship with your clients are
I
are
love
the most
that I
fascinating?
get to really get to know them. I get to be invited into their personalities in a way that is unique, I think. I get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly, and they get very open and vulnerable, which I love, and I think that's really that's an honor to be invited that deep
So
into someone.
people trust you with their personal space. With that in mind, what does success look like with those clients? Like, what's the objective? What is success? What is the end result you're trying to provide that's consistent in your process?
So the end result is that they don't need me anymore. That's when I've done my job correctly.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
when they don't need me, I have along the way taught them to do it for themselves, because I think that's the key. Yes, I'm going to take you through it, but I'm also going to educate you along the way so that you can do it for yourself. That's the only way to stay consistent. You don't need to call me up every quarter to ask me what you should wear this quarter. You know, it's not about what's in style. It's about what's right for you. So when I see them out and about and they get so proud because of what they put together themselves, then I know I've done my job well.
And it's a great point because authenticity is largely celebrated in our culture. But people get turned off when they think something's too calculated, Kristina.
Mhm.
As someone who is a professional image consultant like yourself, I'm curious what your perspective is on the gray area of authenticity. It may be getting tiring to be on brand all the time.
Well, depends on what your brand is. Your brand could be being very low key, being very natural, being um, not dressed up, no makeup. If that's your brand, then that's great. Run with it. Absolutely. You got to do you, but you got to know who you are in order to do you well. So it's of course the filters on Instagram and social media. Of course, it made us. It's elevated visual to a whole new level, and sometimes it can get a little much. But really, in the real world, as long as you do you, as long as you are true to who you are, then you can't go wrong.
How do you find out who someone is? Like, for example, some people have blockages, they don't know, they're confused. They come to you and they say, okay, well, this is what I do for a living. This is my personal life, etc. Is there an exercise you take them through to figure out what is your brand? Who are you? How does that work?
So it's again, it's something we did with advertising when back in the day. You can ask the person. I am also going to give, especially if it's someone I don't know, I'll give them my honest first take. And then we ask people who don't know them at all, and we ask people that know them well. And we see what the feedback is. And in there lies the truth, or we get to the source much faster that way. But very often, I think most of my clients, because I work mostly with women, I do work with men as well, and we tend to be a little hard on ourselves, so we always think people see us worse than they do. So they're very often happily surprised that other people, strangers, read them in such a positive way.
All right, well, let's test you. Who am I? Well, seriously, all right. We
Okay.
met. Come
So
on, lay it on me. Uh,
if I now have to look down to see you on the screen there. So,
hold on, I'll stand up for you.
all right. So I'm going to say successful.
All right, I lost my earpiece trying to give you the style. Okay. Go ahead.
So if I gave my three initial, I would say successful.
Okay.
I would say physically fit, athletic,
Okay.
and I would say modern.
Okay. I'll take it. I like it. I think you're about 110% accurate.
Good.
Good job. Uh, so how does a person generally find their style? I mean, how do you approach working with new clients who are new to image consulting? And for context, I suspect many of our listeners are probably don't have an international style they label themselves as. So much of what you share will be new to them.
Mm-hmm. So there are building blocks, and kind of how I've broken down how you find your style, and also how you confidently and consistently can carry it out. So breaking it down into four kind of building blocks. The first one is your personal attributes, your kind of brand. Then we look at your physical attributes, meaning what is your body shape? Because we're not all the same. There's
Mm-hmm.
not one size fits all. So learning how to dress for your shape and your proportions is a huge game changer. Because all of a sudden, we look in magazines, and we look at mannequins, and we look at what he is wearing over there. Oh, I want to wear that. well, it might not work for you. So knowing how to dress for your body shape is huge. Then we look at colors. What is, we carry colors within our skin, our eyes, our hair. What are the best colors going to be for you? And then looking at style. I mean, there are some traditional style categories out there if you Google style categories, but you can create your own. It's a mix, it's a mash it up, find your own style, label it whatever you want. And that, so those are kind of the building blocks. And when you have that, again, you build to that checklist, and it's so much easier to go shopping in your own closet, to know what's right, what's not. It's all about making it easy, straightforward. It is not rocket science, but no one ever teaches us this stuff.
Right. I mean, it's no one says, "Hey, this is how you should dress. This is what fits your body well."
Yeah,
I personally have a stylist that dresses me because I don't know what looks good on me.
yeah.
They know. And women have a great eye how to dress people, I find. I mean, that's my personal opinion. So I have an association between style being something that's expensive. Okay. I see what the price is for the clothes I wear. It's not cheap. And like brand names, or is it an artistic gift that only some people have? Do you agree with that association? How did our society come to associate good style with being so expensive for these clothes and shoes and belts?
I don't agree at all. I think you can do style on any budget,
Hmm.
any age, any size, any budget. And I do that frequently because a lot of my clients are, in all price categories. And I also work with volunteer groups like United Against Poverty, and where really teach them how you can apply style and look put together on a goodwill budget, or so it's really about that consistency. When you carry it through top to bottom, that red thread, if you do it well, if you take care of your clothes and your shoes and your belts and your bags, if you take good care of them, you don't have to buy expensive materials or expensive brands, because often you're just paying for the label, the name on the label. But taking care of them, that's key.
Do you feel that there's a respect factor that comes out of people when, like you said, you take care of your stuff, you take care of yourself, shows that, hey, I'm going to show you respect the same way I show myself and how I treat myself? Does
I
that
think
come
so.
off?
I do think so. There's something, I think, if we look back, or I think when we were kids and we dressed up for grandma, I mean, that was, oh, she was so appreciative, and she really appreciated the effort. I think it's a little bit the same way when we see that we're holding a meeting and the person has made an effort. I think we feel they're respecting us a little more. I think
Okay.
so.
So you talk a lot about how everything we own is an extension of our visual brand. What that means to me is that interior decorating work you do is very personalized and intentional. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
absolutely. It
because
is.
my go
Yeah.
ahead.
Sorry. No, no, go ahead.
My impression of many other interior decorators is that they tend to focus on making a room look good, regardless of the people that live there. Do you agree with that? And why do so many interior decorators, and I've dealt with a handful of them, take more of this sanitized approach?
Yeah, I would agree. I might not be popular comment, but I do agree with you. Yes. And often too, it becomes more of a, well, if you work with me, this is the style that I do, you know.
Hmm.
Then you want to, as the designer wants to put their style onto the client. And sure, you could pick a designer for their style, a certain style. But I kind of see it, of course, there's styles that I prefer, but I work in all different styles because again, it's not about me. It's about the person who's going to live there. And often I hear, well, should we have a sofa? Should we have this? And you got to go back and say, well, what do you want? How do you live? How do you entertain? Do you entertain? If you don't entertain, you don't need to have a formal living room. Turn it into something you can use.
I find there's always a conflict of interest in business and people's lives. And what I would see with an interior decorator, someone designing, is that they have their fingers in the pot of some of these suppliers and they get great commissions, and et cetera. And I think your approach from conversations is you look more at the person. How do we develop the style and what benefits your life instead of me benefiting financially to what I'm going to sell you? And
Yep.
that to me is such a challenge. I see that in business. I'm sure you see that in your business as well, is that you have all these inherent conflicts. And I'll be honest with you, there's nothing that irritates me more than conflicts of interest when people are pushing their own agenda and their own values on people instead of saying, let me be interested in you. Let
Yep.
me understand you. And what separates you compared to other folks, our image consultant, interior decorate, you actually care about people. You want to know, like, who are you? What's your style? Instead of Kristina Pernfors saying, let me just share my values and throw it on you.
Yeah.
And you can decide whether you want to hire me or not.
Yeah.
I love your approach because I feel that is the best way for longevity of clients to build trust and rapport. And you should keep doing that because that's an important lesson I want everyone to hear is taking time to care about other people first and not putting your own agenda or your own pocketbook in front of them. Because you know what? Kristina Pernfors is going to last a lot longer. She's going to be more successful. And that's why she could do what she could do. And by the way, people will refer you because you actually take time to care. And that's a big lesson. I congratulate you on that. I think that's a
Thank
wonderful
you.
skill set to carry through.
Well, thank you. And I actually changed in interior design, I changed my business model. I do not do any markups on any furniture purchases, or the client can go buy them directly. If it's for trade only, they can go through me, but they pay for my time, whatever furniture. If they want to go to rooms to go, we're going to go to rooms to go. But I don't do any markups on anything.
Doesn't it lead into a statement I've heard you said, like, if you don't control your environment, it will control you. And I love that statement.
Yeah.
Expand on what you mean by that.
So our environment around us, if we're not, and I think we can all kind of relate, being in a room in your house or coming home to your house and there's something that really irritates you, or um, there's too much clutter, or there's something that feels overwhelming. You're not you're not going to be at ease. Your stress level is going to increase. It's going to annoy you. So it's when you are in charge of her, and scientifically, it's also been proven that people that live with more clutter have higher stress levels. So
Mm.
it goes hand in hand. But not just that, it might not be clutter. It might just be that there's an area you don't feel that you have controlled, or that you're not in charge over in your own home. That can really affect you in so many different ways.
Is it the cortisol levels are rise?
Yep.
And so
Yep.
if you have a clutter home, people will gain weight, maybe be
Yes.
more
Yep.
depressed. And
Yep.
so really your services
Overeat
can
when it's
benefit.
clutter too.
Right, overeat,
Yep.
and your message is great because it really says, "Hey, if you're organized, you have a higher probability of, keeping your weight down, being happier, being more fulfilled, and really being organized. That way you're not wasting time finding something or whether
Yeah.
it's an outfit or, your phone, etc." So I believe that being organized and not having chaos in the home is probably really important in a message that you translate to your clients.
Absolutely. And it's all about making life easier.
Hmm.
Isn't that what we all want to do? We have to not complicate things. We have to make it easier, because we all that we know is that we have this one life, and we might as well make it as pleasurable and as easy to live as possible.
I agree with you. You are so well put together and so polished. And the name of our show is I Own It because you own every aspect of your life, behavior, obviously the way you dress, your style, what you put in your body, how you treat your body, how you treat other people. Was there ever a time in your life where you didn't own it and you could look back and share with us that time? Because you're a lady that is so sophisticated and put together. Everyone wants to know, like, was there a time like you were struggling and you did not own certain aspects of your life?
I'm sure my kids will say you can come by here at 6 o'clock any night, and it's just not going to be as sophisticated. No, it's. I think. Well, often when you do business development, you think of is my journey is what's my journey, my customer's journey. I My journey was not my customer's journey. I was super fortunate to grow up in a fashion family. My mom and grandma owned women's boutiques. So I learned in the back storage room, I learned all about, there is not one size fits all. Everyone has different styles. You got to respect different people, different styles, different sizes. So I just got that instilled in me and didn't understand how fortunate I was to learn all these things early on. So it's sure there's been times in my life when I look back and say, "Ooh, that was not a good choice." But I think I just learned watching, especially my mom, who just was very on point with things, and also very encouraging to other styles. But she knew that this thing that I'm purchasing is for this client. It's not for everyone, but it's for this one. And I just think I was fortunate to learn from there.
You are extremely healthy and you teach body pump and you're into fitness and your health. Share with us, what do you do on a daily basis to maintain this incredible look you got going on and this glow on your face and this smile? What do you do? Because a lot of folks out there are going to wonder, how does she maintain all this?
Well, I do. I mean, fitness. We share that interest. I think it is super because I think a healthy body can have a healthy life, but also a healthy company. It's hard to run a healthy company if you're not healthy yourself. I've always been into fitness. For me, it's a release. It's my where I get my mental sanity. I think some people meditate. I run. That's where I get some of my best ideas, or just kind of clarity. I think movement. So much about movement is I tie movement into learning as well. I think podcasts is a fabulous way to learn new things, or books, and doing it while moving your body. It's just, again, scientifically proven that you retain information better when you move. So I try to do that as much as I can. But I mean, definitely, I love to cook, but I love to try to cook healthy because I think what you put in your body is, crap in, crap out. It's just not gonna. You gotta be careful. It's your body is gonna sustain you for the rest of your life, and if you treat it well, it's gonna run like a well-oiled machine. But if you don't, then you're gonna pay for it later.
Well, and also just to get back to your visualization expertise, I feel if you're running a company, like I run my company, Alliance Consolidated, if the leader and the boss is not in good shape and discipline, and he's expressing high performance and discipline, and he doesn't do it himself or visually looks that way, I feel for our audience, it's so important that if you're going to lead and you're going to talk the talk, you need to really take care of yourself.
Yeah,
And not to criticize anyone out there, but if you're overweight and you want to lead and you want to run a big company, you want to be a billionaire or whatever is your end objective, if you're not willing to take care of yourself, people around you, your employees are saying, well, he can't take care of himself. How's he going to take care of me? And that's not only am I healthy, but I also think about that. I said, well, if I'm going to lead and I'm going to have my employees, respect who I am, I want to respect my body. I want people to know, like, this guy's disciplined. He wakes up at 5 in the morning. He trains. He is a go-getter, he's a high performer, and this is why he's successful. I think that little thing goes a long way in that perception. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I totally agree. Absolutely. 100%. And as a fitness instructor, one of the reasons I started doing that was accountability, because
Hmm.
I'm not going to get up there in front of 30 people and look, you know, like I'm not taking my own class. So
Right.
you gotta walk the walk, and that keeps me on my toes. So that's why I keep doing it year after year after year. I mean, I think it's fun. I think it's really fun, but it's accountability. I gotta it keeps me on my toes.
What how important is skincare? Because obviously you have great skin. I'm sure people admire your skin. I'm sure you hear this a lot. Is there certain things you do to have that glow of yours?
Well, it's I have one of my best friends is an esthetician. I love a good facial, but it's all about the daily practices. And it's the same
Okay.
thing with health and fitness, just because you go work out like crazy for 1 week, it's not going to change anything. So taking care of your skin, especially when you live in a place like Florida or California where we see a lot of sun, you got to be careful. You got to make sure that you cover up, um, give your skin nutrients. Those daily practices, morning and night, really important.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming on today. What is the best way to follow Kristina Pernfors where people can get engaged in what you're doing and learn, and you have great content, and obviously you're an outstanding speaker. What's the best way to follow you, Kristina?
So on social media, I'm Kristina Pernfors all over. Kristina with a K. But if you're curious, kind of just to see what I do, or just like to connect and get some opinion
Hmm.
on something, you can go to connectwithkristina.com. And
Okay.
yeah, and
I love
Kristina with
that.
a K.
I love that. We ask all our guests three questions. Okay.
Yep.
And obviously, I'm sure you're aware of them. You're probably even prepared. I'm excited for your answers. Here we go. You ready? So you're in studio with me. You're here at Laguna Beach. And by the way, you are always welcome to come in and we could do even a live show with you.
Oh, thank you. Of course.
So our door is open to you. If you were on the couch in our studio and you're laying down, I say, Kristina, close your eyes. You're now a young, what are you, like 30 years old or something? You look so young. I don't
Oh
even
my
know.
goodness.
Don't even tell your age. You're just very young.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're gonna roll back. Let's say you're 30 and you have to talk to your 16-year-old self, okay? From all the lessons you've learned and the advice and the ups and downs and dealing with everything you've had to deal with. What advice would you share right now with your 16-year-old self that would help you?
Keep learning new things, even if they don't seem to go together right now. You're going to use it all in the end. So just keep being a sponge.
Okay. So it's our last day on earth, God forbid. I don't know if that's possible with you because you look so healthy. You're one of these 150-year-old people, I have a feeling. But let's just go down this road. So it's your last day on earth and we are having our last meal. It's your choice. What are we eating?
Um, we're going to eat truffle fries from
Ooh,
Citrus Grill House here in town.
okay,
Best
sure.
truffle fries of
Uh-huh.
all times. There will be pizza from Southern Italy,
Mm,
Naples area. Best pizza in the world. Um, Probably some apple pie in there too. Do love a good apple pie. I do have an obsession with Brussels sprouts, so there will be
oh.
some kind of Brussels sprouts in there too.
So
Yeah.
wait, apple pie, Brussels sprouts. Do we put ice cream on the apple pie or
I'm not a big ice cream fan, no.
okay. All
No.
right.
I like the old Swedish way of doing it with vanilla sauce.
Oh,
hot
that's
vanilla
interesting.
sauce.
What what did you eat when you lived in Sweden? Like, what's the difference between being in the United States now and then we're in Sweden? What were some of the food choices in Sweden you liked?
Well, so I've been a vegetarian for, do you think I'm 30? I've been a vegetarian for 35 years, and I was not zero when I started. So let's just say that. Um, so growing up, it was a lot of meat and potatoes. That's a traditional Swedish food, meat and meatballs, but different type of meat and boiled potatoes and sauce. So
Oh,
grew up with a lot of that, kind of heavy, but loved it. I was more overweight as a child, but after being a vegetarian, it was similar to coming here. But I do think when I go back to Europe now, the some of the foods definitely taste different, meaning a little less synthetic because the Food and Drug administrations over there have different rules of what you can put in your food. And I think in the US, unfortunately, we're allowed to put a little too much chemical stuff in there. So otherwise, it's fairly similar here and there, what I would eat.
so so with the Brussels sprouts, the apple pie, the pizza,
And the truffle fries.
and
Don't
the oh well, the
sorry.
truffle fries are a
Mm,
must. I love truffle
yeah.
fries. What are we washing that down with?
Red wine. Oh,
Oh,
love a good
okay.
red wine.
You obviously know
Mhm.
who I am. I like that.
Yeah. No, we got
Fantastic.
that in common too.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah,
a huge red wine fan.
yeah.
Is there a certain type of wine that you like over others?
I do like a little more full-bodied.
Okay.
So, I don't like them too sweet, but I do like it. I'm not a big Pinot fan
Mhm.
because it's a
Right.
little light, but I
Mhm.
like a good cab.
So
Yeah,
like a Cab, a
yeah,
Bordeaux, a
yeah,
Brunello,
yeah,
all those work for you.
yeah.
Okay.
They work.
We'll line them up for you.
Great.
So in the studio, you could see you can't see we have a grand piano to my left, your right, and we have a drum set and 6 electric guitars behind me.
So
If
fun.
you were yeah, it's very cool. It's got a good vibe in here. Uh when if you were sitting in studio with me and we could have a musician or band, they could be deceased or living, play us a song. Your choice, Kristina Pernfors. Who is Kristina choosing to have sit with us in the studio to play us a song?
I mean, I gotta go with my people. It's ABBA.
Oh, gimme, gimme, gimme. I love it.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love ABBA.
I
Well,
love ABBA.
great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. You are a wealth of knowledge, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for
And
having me. It was a pleasure and
absolutely,
honor.
we will welcome you back. If you are interested in the Ben Reinberg I Own It podcast on YouTube, drop kick that right hand button and click subscribe. If you want to learn more about me, go to benreinberg.com and you can learn more about health, wealth, relationships, and especially business. And if you're interested in commercial real estate, feel free to log on to our company's website, alliancecgc.com. That's alliancecgc.com. And very shortly, we'll be teaching from A to Z how to get involved in commercial real estate so you can become your own commercial real estate mogul. And if you are interested in passively investing in commercial real estate, feel free to log on to our company website and invest in our brand new fund, our Alliance Medical Property Fund. It's the number one fund on the market, and we invest in medical and veterinary property. So, Kristina Pernfors, thank you so much for coming on. It was great seeing you. Keep rocking,
You.
keep inspiring, and always keep owning it.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.